everything. In this chapter, we will discuss about Anglo-Maratha War, consolidation of the British power, doctrine of lapse, subsidiary alliance, Anglo-Sikh War. Anglo related to the Britishers. We will see the powers of Britishers. We will see these two policies, doctrine of lapse and subsidiary alliance, and Anglo-Sikh War. Students, open page number 11. Through Carnatic wars, the English had made other European countries not to challenge them in India. They gained complete political control over Bengal through Plassey and Buxar battles. In the previous chapter only we have read about the three Carnatic wars and Battle of Plassey and Buxar. How did the British win and everything? The win of those Britishers made other Europeans not to challenge them in India. By 1765, they had gained control over most of the eastern parts of India. So by 1765, almost all eastern parts were gained by Britishers. Since the Marathas and the Mysore states were dominant in the southern and the western part of India, the hold of British was restricted to the Bengal and the Bombay regions only. So here Marathas and the Mysore states, they were dominant, means they were more powerful. The kings of Mysore and kings of Marathas were more powerful, so they were limited, we can say, or they were restricted to Bengal and the Bombay regions only. Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan of Mysore, along with the Peshwas of Marathas, were the only impediments in the path of the expansion for the Britishers. Now, who were the difficulties? Who were standing between the rule? First one, it was Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali in Mysore. Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali. These were in Mysore, in the south. Now here, Peshwas were there in Maratha. So, these Peshwas and Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali were there in the path of Britishers for ruling that place, or we can say, or capturing those places. Now, the others were Sikh in the northwestern region. Also, we are having no here south and everything, Marathas. Here again we have one more, that is Sikh. These were in the northwestern region. Ranjit Singh, who emerged in the later part of 19th century, was a formidable opponent in the British. He was successful in organizing the Sikh. So who was the person? Ranjit Singh. Ranjit Singh was the person, or Ranjit Singh was a king who was making a very difficult in front of Britishers. So Britishers could not come and capture this place. He was a person who was standing in in between the Britishers and their places. The British also waged repeatedly wars from mid-18th century to mid-19th century to extend their empire in India. So what did British do? From mid-18th to mid-19th, they started waging wars several times, so that they can extend, they can expand, or they can enlarge their empire in India. Apart from this, they also annexed various kingdoms with cunning policies like subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse. Now, what they made some policies to the kings. Which type of policy? Doctrine of lapse and subsidiary alliance. We will see further what these policies actually So first one we'll see about Anglo-Maratha Wars. Now we'll see first Anglo-Maratha War, which was from 1775 to 1782. The Marathas installed Shah Alam II back on the throne of Mughal Empire in Delhi. What did Maratha do? Shah Alam II. They made Shah Alam II as the emperor of Mughal. Shah Alam II is the same person which we have seen in the Battle of Buxar, who was against the Britishers. Shah Alam II was under the control of British after the defeat of Buxar War. Yes, we have seen now in the Buxar War itself he was under the Britishers only. Now the emperor gave Kora and Allahabad to the Marathas, which he had earlier given to the Britishers. What did Shah Alam do? He gave Kora and Ahmedabad. He gave Kora and Ahmedabad to Marathas. Before these two places he gave it to British, now he gave it to Marathas. This resulted in the enmity between Marathas and the Britishers. Now Shah Alam, what he did? He gave Kora and Ahmedabad to Marathas, and because of this thing there was a rivalry between, there was an enmity between the Marathas and the Britishers. Because before he gave it to Britishers, no? So because of this he was against. During this period, the death of Marathas' strong man Madhavrao Peshwa was a major setback to the Marathas. There was one strong man, his name is Madhavrao Peshwa, and this was one weakness we can say. This was one very bad thing happened to Marathas because he is dead now. Because he was a very strong Peshwa. Though his brother Narayan Rao came to power, he was murdered by his uncle Raghova, who is also known as Raghunatha Rao. So what happened? After Madhavrao, he was a Peshwa. After his death, his one more king, Narayan Rao, came into the throne. After, I'll write it down. After Madhavrao, he is dead now. After him, Narayan Rao came into throne. Now what happened? He was killed by his uncle himself. His name is Raghova. Raghova killed his uncle. His uncle was Narayan Rao. Okay. This resulted in fighting for the Peshwa's post. Now he was a Peshwa after Madhavrao. Now after dying, now there was a empty place here. After he died, because he had killed. He killed Narayan Rao. After that, the post of Peshwa, there was a fight for the post of Peshwa. The Maratha Federation brought Madhavrao II, the minor son of Narayan Rao, to the post of Peshwa. What happened now? The son of Narayan Rao, his name is Madhavrao II. He came, he was minor, but for now he came here. Madhavrao II. He was a minor. He became a new Peshwa. Now we'll see what happened. The Maratha Federation got Madhavrao II, a minor son of Narayan Rao, to the post of Peshwa. Upset with this development, Raghova approached the British for the support. Now what happened? Why did Raghova kill Narayan Rao? Because he wanted to be Peshwa. But fighting for the post, what everyone thought that they will make Raghova as Peshwa, but they did not make him as a Peshwa. They made the son, minor son, his name is Madhavrao II. Now Raghova was upset. So he went to seek help to the Britishers that you want to be Peshwa, do something, can you help me or what? This way he went to Britishers. The British thought of exploiting this situation in their favor. Now, already told you that in Maratha, the rule was of Maratha Peshwas only. Still, Britishers did not enter to this place because they were restricted, we can say, or they were limited. Already there was having some enmity between Marathas. So, what they thought, can we take advantage of this situation, because Raghuvar is going and asking, he is seeking the help of Britishers. So, what he thought, now what Britishers thought, that we can take advantage, or we can take some, can we exploit the situation or what? A long war was waged from 1775 to 1782 between Marathas and the British. Now what happened? There was a long war between Marathas and the Britishers. Or Anglo means it is connected with the British only. So there was a long war between 1775 to 1782 between Marathas and the Britishers. Initially, though Marathas gained upper hand, later they had to lose Ahmedabad to the British. Starting May, they started winning, but later on they lost Ahmedabad to Britishers. Now this place which came under British, Shah Alam gave this place to Marathas, no? But now this place went to Britishers. Now this place was belonging to Britishers. The Marathas Federation was unable to sustain the war with the British, finally entered Salabai Agreement and ended the war. So what happened? Now Federation, the people of Maratha could not accept this war because it was a very long war between 75 to 82. So they entered into one agreement, that is Salghai Agreement, and ended the war. Madhavrao II was named as Peshwa. So the war was continuously there and they cannot rule it for more longer time. So they ended with Salabhai Agreement. The first Anglo-Maratha war ended by Salghai. Now what does the Salghai Agreement says? Bear the expenses of the army and salary, keep the Britishers in their kingdom, give away some revenue land. So Salghai Agreement, what they have made, no, Marathas with Britishers, what they say is that you need to keep few armies, Britishers in their kingdom, and also they said that you need to give some money to, or we can say salary to the Britishers army, and also give away some land revenue. So this way they have ended the war. So this was, I'll give you a brief thought about this. What happened? The first Anglo-Maratha wars, which was from 1775 to 1782. Shah Alam II was made as Mughal emperor, by which he had given Pola and Ahmedabad to Marathas. Now here, Madhavrao was Peshwa. After the death of Madhavrao, Narayan Rao became a new Peshwa. But Narayan Rao was killed by his uncle Raghova because he wanted to be Peshwa. But it did not happen according to him. The son of Narayan Rao, Madhavrao II, became new Peshwa. Now this made him angry and he went, Raghova went to the Britishers to seek help, and that taking the situation advantage, what Britishers did, they have waged a war against them. And during this war, the Marathas have to lose this place, Ahmedabad, and this was such a big war, they cannot afford it now. So the war ended with Salghai Agreement. So this is it about First Anglo-Maratha War. We'll see Lord Wellesley and subsidiary alliance. Page number 12, which was from 1798. Lord Wellesley was from 1798 to 1805. The expansion of the British Empire took place at a faster pace after the arrival of the Lord Wellesley as a Governor General of India. Now, as much as there were many governors who came to India, but when Lord Wellesley came, he brought this policy, that is subsidiary alliance. He was a new governor in India now. By the time the powerful state of Marathas and Mysore had become weak, the expansion was easier. Now when he came, there was, now in the first Anglo-Maratha British. Now what were the 3 rules what he got? First of all, subsidiary alliance and waging the war directly, and also there was administrating the state. Now we'll see what is subsidiary alliance. Lord Wellesley brought this policy into effect in 1798. As soon as he came, he brought this policy which is subsidiary alliance. Now what does this subsidiary alliance say? This was basically a military protection agreement between East India Company and the Indian states. Now what this alliance is? This was a protection for the armies, we can say, or the people, between the kings and the Britishers. East India Company between the Britishers and the kings, Indian kings. The conditions of the subsidiary alliance were, we'll see what all were the conditions of subsidiary alliance. The Indian king had to keep the British army in the kingdom. The first condition is the Indian king had to keep the British army in his kingdom. Doesn't matter if they come into this alliance, we can say, or if they agree for this alliance, it is the duty of the king to follow whatever the conditions this alliance say or this policy says. First one is the Indian king had to keep the British army in their kingdom. The state concerned had to bear the expenses of the army and wages of the soldiers, and also had to give certain revenue lands as well. First of all, what? They need to keep the armies in their kingdom, and second was they need to bear all the expenses. Whatever the expenses were there regarding these armies, or the salaries or the wages, they need to pay. The Indian kings need to pay to the British army. And also had to give certain revenue land as well. The king had to have the British resident in his court. Now there should be one home, we can say. There should be one shelter home to the British army who were in his kingdom. The king could not appoint any other European without the permission of British. Any other European? Apart from the English, there were no Europeans allowed according to this policy. No Portuguese, no French, no Dutch, no one can enter, or no one can settle there, or we can say, or they can give a shelter without the permission of Britishers. Page 30. In order to enter into any agreement or pact with any Indian state, the permission of Governor General was mandatory. Now whatever the agreement was between the kings and kings, like Indian kings only, they need to seek permission from the Britishers before signing that agreement or before signing any treaty or pact. In return for all these services, the company would offer protection to the state from any internal and external aggression. Now why Indian kings are not fooled to sign all this? Why did they sign? Because whenever some uncertainty or whenever the war is waged, external aggression, whenever a sudden war is waged against the king, at that time Britishers will help those king. So here the king has signed this subsidiary alliance because to get the support whenever they want. So what are the conditions? If they sign this will happen. What it will happen? They will give a protection to the state from external aggression. That means they will help them in the difficult time, we can say. The British could not place the Indian state under their control through this policy, and maintenance of the army became easy. Now, as this condition is, everything is in favorable of Britishers. So it was very difficult for the Indian kings to be free, we can say, or to be in a freedom or independent way. Everything was according to the Britishers itself. The Indian states were subjected to the severe economic exploitation. Now whatever they said, they have taken advantages of these policies, and whatever Britishers said, kings have to agree because of these conditions or because of this policy which they have signed. Hyderabad was the first state to enter this agreement. Later Mysore, Awadh, Tanjavur, Maratha, Berar and other states entered this agreement. Which were the places who agreed this alliance, we can say, who were what you can say have given a clean sheet for this policy? Those are, first one was Hyderabad, then later Mysore, Awadh, Tanjavur, Maratha, Berar and other states entered into this agreement, and seeing all the so that no one can put a war. If they are waging any war, then they are having all the rights, you can say, or Britishers will help them. So this was all about the subsidiary alliance.
In short, again we'll see the conditions of subsidiary alliance. The Indian kings had to keep the British army in the kingdom. It was mandatory to keep. After agreeing the subsidiary alliance, this was the first condition from Britishers. The state concerned has to bear the expenses of the army and the wages of soldiers, and also had to give certain revenue lands as well. So they need to bear the expenses of the army and wages of the soldiers, also give the land revenue. The king had to have a British resident in his court. After agreeing this alliance, it was compulsory that they will give a shelter to the Britishers in their court. The king could not appoint any other European without the permission of the British. It was very compulsory to take a permission of Britishers before appointing any European. In order to enter into any agreement or a pact with Indian state, the permission of the Governor General was mandatory. So this was very compulsory again to take the permission of the Governor General, that is Britishers. In return for all these services, the company would offer protection to the state from any internal or any external aggression. So if there is any war or someone is trying to capture, then Britishers will help them. So these were the conditions of subsidiary alliance.